Hello everybody, it's Nancy News here, and today we've got some breaking news coming from political events. Again, I just want to start with a quick video coming from London. So, this was a speech what Nigel Farage actually did in 2014, and he actually predicted a lot of what's actually happening in the modern day world. So, just give it a watch. I think it's a minute or a minute and 30 seconds long, so just give it a watch.
Desire to arm the rebels in Syria has been the unnecessary provocation of Vladimir Putin. This EU empire, ever seeking to expand, stated its territorial claim on the Ukraine some years ago. Just to make that worse, of course, some NATO members said they too would like the Ukraine to join NATO. We directly encouraged the uprising in the Ukraine that led to the toppling of the President Yanukovych, and that led, of course, in turn to Vladimir Putin reacting. And the moral of the story is, if you poke the Russian bear with a stick, don't be surprised when he reacts. Now, just to continue with that, today we are rushing through an association agreement at undue speed with the Ukraine, and as we speak, there are NATO soldiers engaged in military exercises in the Ukraine. Have we taken leave of our senses? Do we actually want to have a war with Putin? Because if we do, we're certainly going about it the right way. Perhaps we ought to recognise that the West now faces the biggest threat and crisis to our way of life that we have seen for over 70 years. The recent beheadings of the British and American hostages graphically illustrates the problem. And of course we have our own citizens from our own countries engaged in that struggle too. In the war against Islamic extremism, Vladimir Putin, whatever we may think of him as a human being, is actually on our side. I suggest we grow up. I suggest we recognise the real threat facing all of our countries, communities and societies. We stop playing war games in the Ukraine, and we start to prepare a plan to help countries like Syria, like Iraq, like Kenya, like indeed Nigeria, to try and help them to deal with the real threat that faces us. Let's not go on provoking Putin, whether we like him or not.
So he actually got most of that actually spot on. He later said that he predicted the war in Ukraine. I think everyone kind of predicted the war in Ukraine, but he said it from the start. EU and NATO expansion was pushing Russia way too far, and it will cause a war in Ukraine. And it was just very interesting. That was a speech in 2014, by the way. So I just really wanted to show you that really quickly. All right, from the main news today, coming from Jerusalem and Israel. So breaking news has arrived. The U.S. Department of Defense assesses that Israel will likely initiate a ground offensive against Hezbollah in the southern Lebanon by mid-July. So this was according to the Washington Post and a lot of news articles out there. So they said only southern Lebanon. They only said southern Lebanon. So the Russians call their operation the Special Military Operation, and I would not be surprised if Israel will call this program to conduct a land invasion on southern Lebanon, like what's it called? De-terrorizing or something like this. So we could probably expect Israel to try and march and take over quite a bit of southern Lebanon, just the parts that actually Hezbollah controls. So it's actually a good, pretty much chunk of Lebanon. I don't know if they control this much Hezbollah, but a lot of southern Lebanon. So somewhere, this is just me guessing. I'm guessing Israel is probably going to try and take this. I don't know if they're going to annex this and do what they can't do in the West Bank, but I don't know. Very, very, very interesting. And because of that, Hezbollah has conducted the second time today. A huge missile strike has actually resulted in many buildings and many fires within northern Israel, and fire broke out to the buildings. And I've actually got very interesting news, actually coming from Afghanistan really quickly. Apparently, Afghanistan said actually that today the Afghan Taliban has notified Iran that thousands of its fighters are ready to assist Hezbollah in the event of a full-scale war with Israel. So this is pretty huge. These Taliban fighters do have a lot of experience in these really mountainous regions. Obviously, the battlefield in Lebanon and Israel, it's mountainous too. So these Taliban fighters would be very, very useful in these terrain and stuff. So these thousands of Taliban fighters could possibly, do a lot of damage to Israel. So I'm just putting that out, and that actually came out of nowhere. Like, I just got that news. I don't know if this is real. I don't know if it's confirmed, but apparently the Taliban said that to Iran. So very, very, very interesting. All right, we're gonna go to Ukraine really quickly, if it works. Yep, there we go. Um, if you can see this video, dozens of Ukrainian men were actually tried to cross the border between Moldova and Ukraine, and dozens of them got captured. So if you can see here, a lot of them tried to escape mobilization, and now I have no doubt that all of these will be either sent to prison or sent to the front line. So very bad day for these people. And we got news from Asia that during an exercise between the US Air Force and South Korean uh, Air Force will be held in June 17th to June 20th. The American AC-130J Ghost Strider aircraft launched AGM-114 Hellfire 2 missiles, simulating attacks on the North Korean naval targets. If you can see this video of this plane here, we can see these American bombers and how they do missile strikes in this like rocky sea area, but this was very, very interesting. We got news coming from Moscow that after returning to the Kremlin from North Korea and Vietnam, President Putin announced a massive increase in weapon production, including missiles and drones. So it didn't say like how much, but apparently, well, he did massive increase of weaponry, but I'll obviously keep you updated on that. So very interesting news coming from Moscow. We got some news coming from Berlin that apparently German arms and production warehouses and stuff are expanding its production of 155mm ammunition. If you didn't know, these are the basic artillery shell that's shot between the two countries. Apparently, the ammunition is going to go from 1.2 billion like dollars invested in these ammunition storages to 8.5 billion to supply for attacking Russia. So 1.3 billion, 1.2 sorry, billion to 8.5 billion. So this is a huge, huge increase in production for Germany. So this could potentially be a game changer. And we got some news coming from somewhere in the front line between the Kharkiv and the Kharkov and the Sumy and Chernihiv region. So if you see this truck in the bottom left corner, apparently there's been a new Russian tactical symbol spotted. Oh, for this somewhere around Sumy. So we don't know if this is just a logo that someone decided to do, or this could be maybe an offensive logo of Sumi. So new symbols are coming up on these Russian vehicles, and I'll keep you updated if any of these symbols continue to pop up. But it could be absolutely nothing. And we're going to France. Apparently, mass riots on the streets of Paris are protesting against far right parties in France. So these are riots, they're not really protests. They're destroying a lot of things. And They're throwing bottles, beer bottles. So pretty big news. And the last news coming from today is coming from Kiev. If you can see this video here, the Russians have decided with their fleet, they've decided to missile all across Ukraine. Here's the on the bottom left corner, here's the map of where they struck. So a good chunk of Ukraine struck with these caliber missiles. So tomorrow I will tell you the news on that attack. So thank you very much for watching on Non-Scene News. I will provide you the non-scene news what Western media and other medias do not show you. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a lovely Sunday.